Okay, I am so excited. Gorgeous Gray movement here. Nicole Scott. It's just going to be me today. I have a bunch of new interviews coming up, but this week I got so much response over the last 2 weeks to talk about menopause weight loss. And so if you are not in menopause or if you don't have any weight to lose, this probably is definitely not an interview that you want to tune into. But if you're a woman that has been struggling with weight loss, doesn't matter kind of what age you're at, this is maybe an interview with myself that you'll want to tune into. And I just want to share, like, I am a holistic nutritionist. I have been for over 16 years. My story is that, I worked the corporate world for over 10 years. And then I had a daughter who had a compromised immune system. And so I went back to school. I left my corporate job so that I could figure out how to help and heal her body. One of the reasons why I decided to go and let my natural hair color in 3.5 years ago was because I had a scare. I had a breast cancer scare. I had very suspicious lumps. My naturopath was concerned. My medical doctor was concerned. And we waited an entire week before we got the answer back. And it was cyst. It was not cancerous, but it felt like cancer to my doctor. And that's a really scary time when a woman gets it could be breast cancer, let's get it checked out. And so in that week was when I started to deep dive and go back to the books as a holistic nutritionist and go, where else in my diet or lifestyle are toxins coming in that I could clean up? And hair dye was one of them. Hair dye was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I kind of knew, but I maybe didn't want to peek at it. And some of you might understand that, right? It's like, we know better. It's like, we stop dyeing our hair when we're pregnant. Most of us do anyways. And I did that for those two pregnancies, but then I went back to dyeing my hair. And it's like interesting how we made a decision not to dye our hair when we were pregnant, but now that we don't have a baby growing in us, we're okay to dye it. And I write this in my book. I was like, serious, Nicole? Like, what is up with that? Anyways, that's a whole other talk. But what I wanted to talk to you guys about, I have been posting the last couple of weeks some of my images of me before and after. Now I'm 51. I will be 52 this year. And my changes in my body started to happen at about the age of 46. So my weight has always been around about 150 for my height and close to 5'8". I've, on average between kind of a size 6 to size 8. And that's kind of been my weight around that high school. And it goes up and down a little bit. I think my lowest in my adult life was like around 140-ish, like 143 kind of thing, but around that size 6 to size 8. And I've kind of kept that weight. And it was never kind of hard for me if I got really focused and cleaned up, a few lifestyle things that I would be able to lose weight quite quickly. But that started to change at the age of about 46, when my period started to change. What I mean by that was like, oh my gosh, it's been 2 months, or it comes early. And I used an app called Period Tracker. And if you're not tracking your period, women, you definitely want to be tracking your period. Because it represents a lot of information to a health practitioner about what's going on in your body. So that would be the first step, depending on where you are at your age, but tracking your period. Even my girls who are 18 and 20, they track their periods. Okay, so that's the first step. But then what ended up happening is at the age of 46, in that year, I went from like 145 pounds to my highest weight at 180. I didn't even weigh that much. Believe it or not, in my second pregnancy, I had only put on about 23 pounds. So I think I was like in my 160 when I was pregnant with my second. So 180 was a huge amount of weight. And I went up many pant sizes and dress sizes. And I was really embarrassed about it because when I'm a health professional, I should figure this out. And it was like the same story that I hear over and over again, but I did nothing different. I still continue to work out 5 to 7 days a week. I still ate healthy, but my body was changing. My hormones were changing. So I've been on this quest since probably in the last 4 to 5 years. is playing with, my body and really hitting back to the books again, and figuring all this out. Now, I am not officially in full menopause now, but last September I stopped my period. So in order to be classified being in menopause, you have to be 1 year without a period. So I'm coming up on that 1 year. So I'm just about there. And over and over again, I would hear the same story. It would be like, Nicole, you can't lose weight in menopause. Even my medical doctor's like, when she saw that I had gone in and I was up, about 20 some pounds, she's like, holy cow, like, you've gained quite a bit of weight. But she goes, don't worry about it. It's like, it's menopause. You're getting into that stage and it's really hard to lose weight. And so you just like succumb to this extra weight, and this is going to be your new, set point. Now, how many of you have had that story happen to you where you can easily buy into what they say? And I was like, me being a health professional and being a nutritionist, I knew, I was like, okay, whatever. So I've kind of been on the hunt a little bit of information, finding the right practitioners. Even for myself, I find a health team to be put in place so that they can help take care of me, because I don't have sometimes all the answers. We need other experts. So I just want to highlight some of the things that I have done in the last 2 months that has really helped my brain function, my energy, back down to my size 8 pants. I'm not at that weight. I'm probably about 10 pounds away, but I've lost about 23 pounds. 23 pounds. That's a lot of weight. That is a pant size and a half for me. And I feel so much better in my body, but it's not just about what it says on the scale. It's how your body feels, right? So I just want to walk you through some of the things that I have done in the last 2 months, especially if you've been struggling, and maybe some of these lifestyle hacks might help you on your journey. So the first thing is I do a fast. I do either a 16-8 or a 19-5. A 16-8 on average for me looks like between the hours of 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. is when I'm eating. The rest of the time, I give my body a chance to detox, rest, recover, and give my digestive system a break. Sometimes I'm not hungry until about noon, and so I might eat between the hours of 12 and 5. So I do listen to my body, and I do find when I do my fasting, if I have a really active day, like I'm a golfer, sometimes, I do my walking. I just joined back. I'm trying something new. I'm trying curves. I've never done curves before, but trying to build muscle through their circuit for 30 minutes. So I've been trying that. I just started that last week. But for the last 2 months, you guys, just so you know, in regards to my level of activity, has been walking. That's it. Walking, and maybe the odd little bit of body work, stretching, a little bit of sit-ups, a few push-ups, but nothing crazy. And that was hard for me because I'm usually like a hardcore, heavy weights and cardio and that, but I felt like my body just needed to calm down from what we have just gone through in the last 2.5 years. Lots of stress, lots of adrenal fatigue. I just thought I needed to be gentle. So I ended up listening to my adrenals. And so that was the first thing I decided to do, was just light movement. So, but on the odd day where I got more than 45 minutes of walking, and let's say I did walking and golf, or it was just a long day of on the go, I would find that my body the next day would be hungry by 10, maybe even 9 a.m. And so I wouldn't be able to, fast until noon. So I really listened to my body. So that's the first thing. So listening to your body for the fasting. Now, if you're new to fasting, you might not jump into 16 and 8 right out of the gates. You might do like start at 12 hours of fasting and then move up to 13 and then 14 and then 15 and then 16. You have to build up this endurance. And again, I don't want you feeling sick or nauseous or fainting. So that's why you might have to build up to a 16-8. So be easy on yourself and gentle. Lots of water, at least 3 liters of water throughout the day, and slowing down your water intake as you get closer to bed. So you don't have to be, getting up 2 or 3 times at night. So heavier in the morning and early afternoon for your water, and then slow down at night for the water. Herbal teas is what I did. when I wanted some variety. I did no sugar, no alcohol, and I did no carbohydrates in the form of like wheat or gluten or anything like that. My carbohydrates came from my fruits and my vegetables. I will go over my meal plan with you as well. I already mentioned light movement, right? About 30 to 45 minutes of movement a day. And I did 2 meals a day, and I made sure that those 2 meals were 5 hours apart. So if I would, let's say, let's say I went till noon. I would have my first meal at noon, and it might be a source of plant protein, or it could be meat protein. It just depends. I rotated. I used to be 100% plant-based for a number of years, but I felt my body was needing some meat protein, and my blood work showed that. So I kind of go in between having one meal of plant-based and one meal I add like a protein. So I'll give you an example of what a typical day would be. So I would get up. Now I'm doing an organic coffee with mushrooms in it. So that was something, and coffee can act as like a suppressant of food. The reason why I don't do just coffee or make sure that you drink organic coffee is anytime I'm putting something in my body, I go like, is it like going to add value? So I'm kind of a geek that way. And so there's a lot of unique coffees out there that you can get. You can always reach out to me. The 4 Stigma Stematic one I've been trying, which I really like. It's low caffeine, like 50 milligrams, but it's got like mushrooms in it and lion's mane in it, where it really wakes up your brain, and it's an adaptogen, which is really good for your adrenals. So that's how I start my day, is either a coffee or a green tea, but a healthy coffee, not like a fast food coffee with sugar and cream. So I keep it black, because as soon as you add sugar or milk, you break your fast. But black coffee or green tea is okay until you get to your meal. So I would have about 4 to 5 ounces of a protein. So let's say it's chicken, or let's say it's tempeh, which is fermented soy. Then I would have about 4 ounces of a steamed vegetable. So my favorite usually was like broccoli or cauliflower. And then I would have a piece of fruit. And I would usually stick with a low glycemic fruit. So it might be like a pear or an apple or berries or a kiwi. And then I also had the opportunity, what I call is like free vegetables. Is so if that did not fill me up and I was still hungry, I could go for my green leafy vegetables. I could go for celery sticks, cucumbers, tomatoes. I used a lot of like lemon juice to kind of give it some taste, and chili pepper or herbamare, which was a sea salt. And I kept it really simple. I really just went back to whole food eating. And then I would give myself 5 hours, and then I would kind of do it all over again. Sometimes where I was like, I would just wanted to have like a smoothie, because I've always been like a smoothie girl. I would just change one of my meals into like a smoothie bowl. So I would, I have a couple favorite different powders that I would use, plant-based powders that I would use, and I would put my frozen berries in, and then I would eat my protein and my fruit, and then I would have a bowl of vegetables. So sometimes I switched it out that way. And so I did that. And then I did supplements. So supplements are a big thing for me. I always have been. But I'm always geeking out with my clients in regards to making sure I know what their blood results are. So I go about every 6 to 8 months with my naturopathic doctor to just get an update on my blood work, especially as we're getting older. We want to just make sure that we're keeping and staying on track of our blood measures. So here's kind of like my favorite supplements that I take foundationally. And so if you're listening to this, check off your favorite supplements and ask yourself, like, how long have you been on them? Do you think they're working? Are they working? Is it showing up on your blood work? So my foundational, I've been on the Juice Plus capsules for 16 years. What's really neat is my naturopathic doctor has a machine called the Well, it's a live blood analysis. So right away, instantly, we can see my blood work, and then it prints out a report. And I remember when I went into her like 10 plus years ago, she's like, oh my gosh, Nicole, your level of antioxidants in your blood is incredible. It's like the highest that I have seen in my practice. Like, what are you taking? And I kind of giggled and I said, well, I've been on this whole food supplement for over, back then it was 6 years. It's called Juice Plus. She goes, that's incredible. Stay on it. It's obviously working. You want high level of antioxidants in your body because it slows down the aging process. Okay. So all of us ladies, what do we want to do? We want to slow down the aging process. So I always like to use the analogy of like an apple. If you were to cut open an apple and cut it into slices and put it in your kids' lunches, within an hour, it starts to go brown, and that's called oxidative stress. And that same stress happens in our body every single day, 24/7, just because we're breathing. So if we don't have high levels of antioxidants in our body, we break down faster. We end up getting aches and pains and wrinkles, and we just look older. Okay. So Juice Plus to me is kind of like that seatbelt of nutrition every single day. It's kind of like from birth to grave kind of thing, as I see as a supplement, because it's just fruits, veggies, and berries. So I have, as a nutritionist, been recommending it and promoting it, oh my gosh, I think I'm going on to my 17th year. So yes, thousands and thousands of customers and clients on it all over the world with incredible stories. And we've got all of the research to back it up. So that's my foundation. For a lot of women, I notice that they need to be on an adrenal support. So I am on adrenal support. That is my weakness in my body, is my adrenals will crash quite quickly if I don't have that level of support. Vitamin D is another big one. I always encourage my clients to make sure that they're getting their vitamin D levels and at different times in the year, just to kind of see where it lands. I know I just got mine done and I'm in the high zone. So I'm so excited because there's been times where I've been on the low end, and you definitely can feel it. So if you're low in vitamin D, oftentimes there's a correlation between mental health as well as depression. So depending on, where your mental health is and your happiness factor, I always say, go get your vitamin D checked. Very, very important. And I want you to stay on top of that number is really, really important. B12, I know for myself, because I'm only just recently been introducing meat proteins back, my B12 has always been something that I have struggled with, along with my iron. So I make sure that I'm watching my iron levels, I'm watching my B12. As soon as I stop taking my B12, as soon as I stop taking my iron, my numbers start to go down. So for whatever reason in my body, I cannot get that up naturally with food. So remember, everybody is going to be different, right? So I can't say this is exactly what you need, but that's why I always say work with a health professional and make sure that you stay on top of your blood. I also take the Juice Plus plant-based omega. Omegas are really important for our skin, our hair, our nails, our brain function. It's kind of like the oil that we put in the car. I'm a big fan of it. And I'm a big fan of plant-based, especially what's going on in the environment and in the oceans. So big fan of plant-based, and I take it every single day. You can also take the omega, and you can also put it on your skin as part of your skincare routine at night. So those are kind of like what I take for supplements. I'm going to show you this ring. See this cool ring? It's just not for fashion, you guys. If you see, show it. If you see it in my videos, it's called the Aurora ring, O-U-R-A. I've had it now for a couple months, and it actually keeps track of your markers. So my activity, it keeps track of my sleep. So I know if I've had my deep sleep, my REM sleep, how fast I fell asleep, was it restful sleep? And it gives you a score every morning when I log into the app of what my sleep score was. The other thing that it does is it also shows you your readiness score, and like if I recovered well enough. And so I'm kind of like an addict now. Like every morning when I get up, I'm like, it's almost like I'm playing a game with myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, wonder what my readiness score is, right? And you want to be like, it's 1 out of 100. So I think the highest I've had was like a 95 for readiness, and around a 95 sleep score. And I tell you, I felt like a rock star on those days. The days when I start to dip into my 70s or low 80s is when I'm not feeling my best. And so I've been kind of playing this game of like, what keeps me up at night, or, why didn't I sleep well? And so I'm just learning a lot about my body. So that's the Aurora ring. And I think they're around $400 or $500, but a great investment. Now, why this versus like, the Apple Watches and different programs? The reason why I've chosen this over, the Apple Watch is I'm very sensitive to electromagnetic radiation. And that's a signal. If you had a watch on and it's tracking you, you're literally being, creating a signal that you can't see it, but you might be able to feel it. Now, my body is very sensitive. This you can put on airplane mode. And so in the morning when I download all my information, because it's like a little tiny computer inside, and it actually keeps the memory of the information and then downloads it when you turn off the airplane mode. So this is the only one that I could find out there in the world that can keep track, but I don't get zapped by the electromagnetic radiation all the time. So this is a new favorite for me. I highly recommend it. And then just like the last thing, making sure that you're getting enough sleep. So this has been really, sometimes you think, like for myself, I'd be like, oh yeah, I was, in bed for 7 hours per se, right? Like when you do kind of like a 10 till 5 or a 10 till 6. But what's interesting for this is, but I might have only slept 5 hours, or I might have only slept 6 hours because I was up throughout the night, and you don't think you're up, but you're up. So anyways, it's been a really neat experience. So quickly to summarize, how have I lost 23 pounds in menopause? Again, recapping, I've been fasting and playing with my body so I can balance my blood sugar. No sugar for me. I've been doing no sugar and no alcohol and no processed foods, drinking lots of water, getting my sleep in, using the Aurora ring to analyze that. I'm doing 2 meals a day, 5 hours apart, eating whole food, light movement, taking my supplements and getting the support that I need for my body, staying on top of my blood work. And then the last thing for me is I'm just starting to play in the world with a hormone doctor. So I got all my blood work back last week. And so now we're noticing that like my testosterone and my estrogen and my progesterone are definitely on the low side. So I have an appointment coming up in a couple of weeks to start talking about potentially bioidentical hormones so that I can, stay on top of my symptoms and make sure that I, go into my 50s and beyond feeling strong as a woman. So as I close off on this message of, can you lose weight in menopause? The answer is yes. Is there a perfect program for you? Yes. Is what I did might work for you? Maybe. I am a belief that like everybody is going to be different. And I'm in many kind of groups online where it's like, this is what I did. And then somebody else tries it and goes, well, it didn't work for me. So there's so many different moving pieces. I just wanted to share my heart of what has worked for me based on my blood work, based on how my body's been feeling. And I would just encourage you, if you are struggling to lose weight in menopause, don't give up. Don't buy into what your doctor says is this is going to be your new set point. Because I believe if I can reset my weight point, so can you. But you got to experiment and play with it a little bit. So I hope this was beneficial. I hope that you can take a few little, nuggets out of this message about, weight loss and menopause. I will be starting up my first of many, many groups. I'm going to be starting up in September, my first menopause shred group, where I will be in a Facebook group supporting you with another friend that also is around my age, that also is doing something very similar, but a little bit more active because she's an athlete. And we're going to share this. We're going to do it together. We're going to do it for 30 days. So stay tuned with more information. But I wanted to get this information out to my Silver Sister community because so many of you have been asking, and I kept on saying, I'll get back to you, I'll get back to you. And I just said, I'm going to do a video because it was a lot of getting back to people because everybody was asking me what I did. So this video will be out there for women to give you hope that you can lose weight in menopause. And stay tuned to more details about my menopause shred program that I will be launching in September so that I can help more women and encourage more women to feel great in your body at any age. So thank you for tuning in, Silver Sisters. If you have not yet subscribed to the Gorgeous Gray Movement YouTube channel, please subscribe now, because every time I do a new interview, you will get notification. You can also join me in my Facebook group, the Gorgeous Gray Movement. That is available as well. You can also purchase my book, The Gorgeous Gray Movement. It's on Amazon. And follow me on Instagram. Give me lots of love. Let's share this message and mission out to as many women as we can. I love our community so much, and the support has been incredible. So thank you so much for tuning in, and have a beautiful day.